Morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will call this meeting of the Board of License Commissioners of Carroll County to order. We begin our meeting as we have traditionally for many, many years with the pledge to the flag. Observe a moment of silence in memory of those who have passed before us. It is strictly optional. Mr. Wiley? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You all may be seated.
Dave Mister was going to come and argue about Rite Aid. I don't want to hear that one. It's like not to.
This time, first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our August meeting of the board. Are there any corrections or additions? Yes, sir. Hearing none, they'll be approved as presented. Our first appearance is from Rincon Italian Grill, to explain the new bar they installed without permission from the board. Those of you come forward.
I have never. Yeah, I don't know.
Those who intend to testify, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in by Ms. Vance.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. May I ask that before you testify the first time, that you state your full name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please. Inspector Benfer or?
Inspector Keith Benfer. I don't know the exact date, but Inspector Bill Ledley went down and did an inspection at Rincon on Georgetown Boulevard. He found a partially constructed bar at the location. He contacted me. I did some research, and it was determined that there was no request for the bar. I did talk to the owners. They did have county permits filed, and I got a picture and some drawings of the jar I'd like to submit. Evidence. That's all right.
So this is a violation of our Rule 14, alteration, additions, or remodeling,
That is correct.
which is perfectly spelled out in the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Carroll County. Who would like to represent?
Yes, my name is Jose Ramirez, and my sister and I own the Rincon Italian Grill. So
Spell your last name for the record, please.
it's R-A-M-A-M-I-R-E-Z.
And your address?
613 Hammershire Road in Wismore, Maryland.
Okay. Tell us what happened and why.
At the beginning, asked the questions that I was willing to build a bar, and we were willing to build a bar and a restaurant, because customers been requiring us to have like a mixed drinks. So knowing that we have the liquor license, I asked the landlord if he allowed me to build a bar in the location. So, and I asked if we need any permissions. So he recommended to Mr. Clint. He says he's a contractor. He does all the permission for you. You'll be safe. You have to hire him. You have to do it with him. So I was recommended, and that's the decision. That's when we made the decision.
So you never bothered to check with our department to see if it was okay to do? Are you familiar with this book at all? How long have you had a license?
I think a year.
And you were presented this book when you got the license
Yes.
and probably said you were familiar with it.
Yes, but like I said, at the same time, I was recommended by Mr. Clean. He do all the permits, and the landlord told me you don't have to worry about anything, like go back and forth getting permit for this, permit that, and you sell. I'm not blaming him, and I'm not blaming nobody. We apologize for the inconvenience and for not knowing, like honestly, that we have to do like a meeting or come here and ask permission, and for that we thoroughly apologize.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jency Cisneros. My last name is spelled Cisneros. Address 7917 Delrose Avenue, Rosedale, Maryland, 21237. And just to add, I think we were confused and misunderstood the part that we have to come back to you. I think we were confused on the part where all the permits and everything will notify the board license, and I think that was a misinterpretation for our end.
May I say something?
State your name and address, please.
Clint Linger, Linger, 17 Bancroft Street, Tonytown, Maryland. I'm the contractor who does all the work for the owner of the building. He owns several buildings. I've subcontracted a couple of bars. I've never actually been the contractor that actually pulled all the permits and stuff, so we kind of jumped through a lot of hoops in getting this thing done because we weren't aware the health department needed to be involved and all of that stuff. So when we went to the county, thought we were following proper procedure. We get the county permit, they tell us we need the health department involved. So then we jumped through all the hoops with the health department. By no means did we have any idea that we had to come back to the liquor board for any further permissions or anything like that. I mean, you wouldn't, I guess you would understand the hoops we jumped through with the health department, but that was a process within itself. It by no means were we trying to pull any wool over anybody's eyes. It was just definitely, it was new to me, obviously new to them. At this point, we're just at your mercy.
You're a contractor. You have nothing to do with the license, right?
Right.
Liquor license. The licensee of the alcohol license that was issued by this board is responsible for all the rules and regulations, period. If I give you a test on this book, how many other rules and regulations do you think you would be able to correctly answer?
Right now, being honest, I read it.
My point simply being this. You were issued a license,
Yes.
and in your application, are you familiar who filled out your original application?
My lawyer.
And in that application was a complete diagram of the premises, according to the application rules and regulations. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Have you read Rule 14 since this was brought to your attention?
Yes.
When you go into your restaurant through the entrance door and you turn left to go into the seating area, you immediately come to the new bar, right?
That's correct.
And as you walk past a new bar, will there be seating there for that walkway entering the restaurant itself? I see on the pictures that were presented that there were chairs along there. Do you intend to have bar stools along there? The walkway as you enter the bar from the,
Yes.
you do?
Not sit right when you enter and you make left.
All right, you enter
Yes.
the door, you make a left, and you walk toward the new bar. And then there's a bar railing, and in the photographs, there are seats.
We have seats over there because we bought the seats and we got nowhere to put it at. So basically, what we thinking to do all the way to the end is like make the two high tops, where it's gonna be right at the end of the bar to the other side, and that's what the seats are for. But at the meantime, we got no way to put the seat anywhere else.
So it seems to me that as you enter the restaurant
Yes,
along this area here, that'd be very narrow to put these chairs there. It's a walkway. It's how you enter the restaurant.
yes.
And so my question is, do you intend to have patrons sitting there in this walkway where you enter the restaurant?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
What's the seating capacity of your restaurant with this bar in the middle of the room?
My whole restaurant sit on 92, but we took off 16 chairs and building the bar with basically we're using 14 chairs. So basically we're taking 2 chairs off. 14 chairs with the 2 high tops that we intend to do. Basically, that's what it is. It's 10 chairs along the bar and 2 high tops or 2.
So you will serve food at the bar?
Yes,
And essentially, you're only losing 2 seats for dining.
yes.
So that one stretch will, this
I don't think it's wide enough.
this stretch right here will fit 14 seats?
No, that we only fit like 10 seats.
So
There's-
then where's the other 4 going to go? Because you just testified.
The high
you weren't going to
tops.
seat
High
here.
tops.
High top tables.
So you're only going to have 10 bar stools and then 2 high tops, so you're adding 4, okay, so 14. And the high tops will be along this area,
No, they will be all the way in the back.
over this area?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner, the area you're pointing at is the area I call the walkway.
Okay, I haven't been, so I
And
don't.
that's the area you say will not be any seating.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think it's too narrow to have your patrons come in there and have people sitting there.
Yes.
Well, the county approved the permit and building permit, so it's ADA accessible, so county said it's all right.
The county approved seating there?
Yeah.
Do we have a copy of that? Because I don't think that's ADA accessible.
Okay. I have approved county permit. They haven't not signed off on it yet, because I don't think it's built, but I don't have anything from the county, but I can get you something from the county. County would not issue the permit if it wasn't ADA accessible.
Well, there is an emergency exit past there,
But you have to, okay,
but a wheelchair, with people sitting there at that walkway, a wheelchair would have difficulty getting through there.
If I might say something on that, the whole idea with that stretch was, the beginning phase was to close off that area and have the new entry where the emergency exit is. However, I spoke with Jose, like, well, you have your carryout, why not have the bar right there for somebody that's waiting for carryout that says, hey, while I'm waiting, that stretch is for carryout to walk up and maybe order something.
Okay.
Questions? Any further questions? So if I understand correctly, you obtained all of your other permits properly,
Yes.
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 but this is the only one that, there's not a permit, it's just an approval process. You've only had a license for a year, you say?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Sir, when the county approved the permit, did that permit include making the emergency exit? The main entrance to the restaurant?
That was the original plan.
So what?
But
when our
then it
inspector-
changed to where that was no longer it.
And has the county, so the permit that the inspector was referring to
Is the
actually-
updated, yes.
was the updated one,
Yep,
where you're not using the emergency exit?
yep.
So it's been approved twice?
Yeah, we had it approved, the plans were approved the first time, and then I actually had to pay a second time to get the new one submitted.
But initially, you hadn't reached out to the health department either, and then were told you had to do that. I guess the confusion in the board lies with, if they agree or disagree with me, they can let me know, but when you built the facility, you had to get all those permissions, but then when you made changes, one would think your mindset would be, oh, I better get all the permission too. And I'm a little confused as to why a licensee would not just always reach out to the office to say, hey, we're going to do this, is this okay? Because, this license is a privilege. It was issued to you based on testimony that you gave, telling us you knew the book, telling us, that you were going to do everything right by the license, but then didn't. So I think that's kind of where our confusion lies, is if you had to submit plans in the first place, that's what we approved. It would go to reason that you would have to submit plans again to have it reapproved. So I would suggest in the future, if you want to make any changes, that you're going to want to reach out to the office or Keith and make sure that there's nothing that you have to do through our department in order to make changes or to do anything regarding your license. Changing of hours, changing of days, there's always someone on staff, and they're a wealth of information, and they can tell you yes or no. It's as simple as a phone call to find out, and then you don't end up sitting here in front of us after violating a rule.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions?
Yep.
It's obvious that you're unfamiliar actually with the rules and regulations, or it would have been inherent that you simply send in a request with a drawing, and it doesn't have to be an architectural drawing. We get these very, very frequently. As you are required, as Commissioner Mulwiney mentioned, liquor license is a privilege, and it's only issued upon the necessity and approval of this board, as well as the necessity of the preference and the conditions that would prevail in a certain community for the benefit of the community, and so on and so forth. So I would strictly recommend that you, as the licensee, you are the one that's responsible, period. That you become familiar with the alcoholic beverages rules and regulations. Are you TIPS or TAM certified?
Yes.
Yes.
How many of your employees are?
Like 8 of them.
8 of them? With that, I simply am going to remind you that this board, for violations, can assess a fine of up to $2,000 for each individual infraction and issue a suspension or a revocation according to law. That's kind of serious. Suspension hits the pocketbook pretty good, so I would encourage you to become familiar with the rules and regulations completely. Not only with this thing, but if you make any other physical changes, you're responsible to us, not the contractor and the landlord and so forth. The landlord certainly has got to give his approval. But with that, unless you have any questions, We hope not to see you here again for any type of infraction. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I have one quick question. I would think that the county would be all in communication with like the permitting and the health department, the liquor board.
How long have you been a contractor?
I've been doing it for 20 years, but I've never dealt with the health department ever, or the liquor board. So this is all new. So when this all came about, I was like, good
Anything
night.
involving food or alcohol is the health department is involved.
Yeah.
I can't believe that you have not run across them in the past if you've been a contractor for
I've
many
I've not had to deal with any food service or anything.
Subcontractor, it's the first general contractor.
This is the first food bar that I had total.
You ought to get familiar with the rules and
I
regulations.
better.
Now you're educated, so.
Thank you.
Congratulations, best luck, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Keep serving the good food that you do. Okay, I think we got time. Our next agenda is a one-day liquor license request for an outdoor event from Carroll County Board of Parks and Recreation for a one-day event to hold an Ales and Tales event at South Carroll Dog Park. What in the world do you want to do? State your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Maya Edwards, Edwards. My address is 45 Bancroft Street, Tawnytown, Maryland. So we're looking to hold the Department of Carroll County Rec and Parks a new event, which we've came up with Ales and Tales. So we've run a dog event similar, but we're trying to incorporate. It's a Friday evening, so we actually are trying to get Pipe the Side Brewing to come out and serve beer for the event as well. So we picked the South Carroll Dog Park just because it's one of our facilities that has a permanent fence, so we don't have to deal with any temporary fencing. It's behind the South Carroll Senior Center, if you're not aware where it is. So we're just looking to get the license so we can have a vendor out there serving some beer.
You don't know who the vendor is yet?
We're looking at Pipe the Side, so they're in agreement once we get if we're able to get the license, they're gonna make a custom beer and donate 10% of the profits back to us for the Park Legacy Fund as well.
So I see the food trucks are parked in front of the senior center?
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sorry.
Are they gonna be able to leave the fenced-in area with alcohol to the food truck and back and forth, you know?
No, so the access, they won't be able to drive back, which is why they're in the parking lot. So they won't be able to bring alcohol outside of the fence. So they'll have to consume it in the fence, go to the food truck and bring it back, which will have seating in the fenced-in area.
That's the only question I have.
We have guard dogs enforcing that?
We have staff.
That was a joke.
I know.
How many people do you expect?
Because this is a newer event, we're estimating around 200, so pretty small scale. We're hoping to build it if we can get it bigger. We've done other events where we've had about like 1,500, like the Car Fest in July, so that was successful. So we're hoping to build a bigger following for our events.
And this is to benefit Department of Parks and Recs.
Yes, yep, all proceeds go back to our Park Legacy Fund.
I see you have an adoption event area, so you're gonna have animals there for adoption?
Yes, two local the Humane Society and then a local rescue are bringing dogs, but that'll be in the small dog area. So people in the front, there's kind of a vestibule of the dog park, so people can leave with it still being fenced in to go between the two, but it'll be a little separation. So those dogs will be in enclosures and then also in a smaller fenced-in area.
And I think I read the center will not be open, correct?
No, they won't have access to that.
Restrooms?
I just was just gonna
Yeah,
ask.
we have spotted pots that'll be there.
Georgia's a lot of trees there. No. Any other questions?
Just alcohol awareness?
Yeah,
I see a
Attached.
certificate here, it's attached.
yeah, we have 5 other employees that are trained as well.
And one of them will be on site, or someone with
Yeah.
a certificate will be on site?
All of them will be on site for this, yep.
Inspectors, do you have any questions?
That's it?
Speak now, forever hold your peace. If not, congratulations.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank
Don't let
you.
the dogs out.
I know, we'll try not to. Thank you.
If they have a fire hydrant there, I'll be okay.
And they don't need a porta potty.
Trees behind there. It didn't take long, it looks to me like I thought we was gonna be right on time.
We still got a couple minutes?
We still got a couple of minutes, all right. The next item here, we've got a letter from Kelly Miller Esquire about the new Carriage House Liquors with attached copy of resolutions of stockholders removing Jessica Smith from ownership in the company.
So does this, so how's the process of being on the license? Because she has to have ownership in the company to be on the license, correct?
Yeah.
No,
So if-
Jessica's coming off the
She's
list.
coming off.
But she's still on it, but not owning any of the company anymore?
Right.
Yeah, but she's coming off, period.
Okay, I get that, but it's kind of,
She's
so I
actually,
guess both things can't happen at the same time.
she's actually already off.
Okay.
Because a felon can't be on the license.
Okay.
Conviction?
No, she has not been convicted yet.
Not been convicted yet, but she's charged.
So,
Pending felony.
at this moment, she's on the license.
So, right, that's what my point,
No.
but she's not in the company anymore, which violates
No,
being able to be
She's
on.
not on the license.
not on the license because Brian is now the sole owner.
So that automatically negates her licensee without getting a letter of resignation or anything like that as for the, that's, I guess, my,
Yes,
okay?
yep, she's off.
So a new license is issued? Once, do we have to do anything? Do we have to accept this, or is it, we're just being notified that she,
She's being notified. It's the new paperwork
Be in
showing
the
that
file.
he's 100% owner.
He was on the license too, so.
yeah, well, right, right.
Twenty-seven, I have.
Okay, the next thing we got here is a request from Thunderhead Bowl and Grill to remodel their bar area and kitchen.
What's highlighted in yellow on the drawings is what's being removed. What's highlighted in pink is the new bar area.
None of that has started or anything yet.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, it was a closed-in bar area, they're gonna make it
Yeah.
open, like an open area now.
If you have to make a visitation, it's on.
Okay. They haven't been there a long time, might have to do that. So,
Brewery right there attached to it, or beside it.
And they've been advised to obtain county permits and everything, and health department.
So what did they just do recently? They redid their lanes? Is that what happened?
What was that?
I thought I saw some construction, like,
They're remodeling, they're getting rid of some of the lanes,
okay,
making an arcade area.
gotcha.
So they're making it smaller?
No, they're making it bigger. It's the same size, it's just more open now. They're getting rid of on the yellow is what's being removed, walls, those two
Okay.
walls.
Yeah.
What's being pink is the new area.
Okay.
So it's more an open area than closed, before it was a closed-in, four walls bar area.
Any objection?
No objections.
Okay, we're in order. All right. Mr. Dixon, would you do the honors of calling our case number 6578, please?
All right, case 6578, an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Juan Villanova and Eric Francisco Castillo for the use of Fugo Fusion LLC, trading as Vodka Moo, 6300 Georgetown Boulevard, Suite 103, Sykesville, Maryland, 21784, in Election District 5. To file this matter, we have the following documents. September 9th, 2025, letter from Kelly Schaefer Miller to the board. Let's see, enclosed for filing, please find the supplemental page to the originally filed application in the above referenced matter. This page provides the business and email addresses which have been created since the original filing. I would respectfully request that you update the file accordingly. All right, there's an application, and the application includes, okay. All right, there's also an August 1st, 2025 letter from Kelly Schaefer Miller to the board. And then there's an application, and the application includes naturalization certificate, U.S. passport, character references, criminal background information, driving record, articles of organization, lease, menu, plot plan, floor plan, other licensed establishments, SDAT information, operating agreement, and ownership information. I would ask that the file be entered into evidence.
We'll accept that in evidence. This time, I would ask all those who intend to testify in the case, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in by Ms. Vance.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You may be seated. Good morning, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. Good morning.
I assume you're going to present this case?
I am indeed. Yes, thank you. I have lost my voice, but I'm going to do my best today. So you'll apologies in advance for the raspiness. If you can't hear me, please let me know. Kelly Schaefer Miller, 73 East Main Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. I'm here this morning on behalf of the applicants in today's case. As you are aware, the request here today is for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license for the establishment of a new restaurant. This restaurant is proposed in the Georgetown Boulevard Shopping Center, which, if you're familiar with that area, contains things such as a grocery outlet, the Piney Run liquor store. I think there's still a Panera in that center, and that is where this new restaurant is proposed. The previous use in this space was, I believe, Seafood Legends. Please don't quote me on the full name of that. And so if approved here today, the applicants do propose to go through some pretty substantial interior renovations to that space and then reopen it as this restaurant, Vodka Moo. So we are excited to be here today and present the case to you. And with that, I will call my first witness. So I would first call Mr. Antonio Villanueva. Antonio, can you please state your name and address for the record? And remember that you need to speak up, but also speak into the microphone, please. Thank you.
Yes. My name is Juan Antonio Villanueva. I'm in a 493 Piney View Court, Saxon, Maryland, 21784.
Do we need any spellings, Mr. Dixon?
Well, I guess I see it written down, but
Okay.
that's what you're supposed to
Yes.
do.
Okay, can you please spell your last name, Antonio?
Yes, V as in Victor, I-L-L-A-N-U-E-V-A. Anueva.
Thank you. Antonio, can you just tell the board a little bit about yourself, your professional background and history, please?
Yes, I'm in a construction business. I've been in construction all my life. Currently, I have a substantial business that I manage. I started from background, and I've been in food industry from 2009 to 2011. That was located in Baltimore County by Security Boulevard.
So you own a business in the construction industry that's operated out of Sykesville, Eldersburg, Maryland, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in your past, you were the owner of a restaurant in Baltimore County from about 2009 to 2011, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And is it your intent to remain in your current employment as well as ownership of this restaurant?
That is correct.
Okay. Are you a resident of Maryland?
Yes, I am.
You in fact, the address you gave is your home address, which is also in the Sykesville, Eldersburg area, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the application that we have submitted is for the location known as 6300 Georgetown Boulevard, Suite 103, Sykesville, Maryland. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard in my opening statement that I said that that location had previously been a restaurant operated as Seafood Legends. Is that accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. And you do not own that building, correct?
No, I'm not.
So you will be leasing the space.
Correct.
And you have, in fact, entered into a lease agreement that is contingent upon a few things, one of which is obtaining a liquor license. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And that space that you intend on leasing, you are planning on doing pretty substantial interior renovations to that space, are you not?
That's correct.
Do you have a hopeful, I'll call it hopeful, opening date if approved here today?
Yes, we do. The tentative date will be beginning of December.
Okay, so the beginning of December would be your hopeful opening if approved here today. Okay. Can you explain to the board your anticipated hours and days of operation for the restaurant?
Yes, we intended to open 7 days a week from 11 in the morning to 11 p.m.
And if you had to describe the type of food offered and kind of outlined in your menu that you've provided to the board, how would you describe that to the board?
There is a fusion between Japanese and Korean, Japanese and Caribbean food. It's a fusion that has been created by one of the chefs that we had on board.
Okay.
I'm sorry, chef,
It's a chef.
you have a chef retained, is what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay.
And Antonio, can you just generally describe the floor plan that has been provided, and specifically point the board to any outdoor patio seating that might be available?
Yes, the patio will be sitting right there by the window. It's going to be like 3 tables on the side. It's going to leave the path for people, so make sure it's not going to be in a way for people had access to the shopping center right in front of them.
So there will be a very small patio directly outside the front door of the restaurant on the existing sidewalk sort of area of the shopping center that will be kind of temporarily, or not, I shouldn't say temporarily, that will be enclosed with sort of temporary planter type structures, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And did that exist there, do you know, when Seafood Legends was there?
I don't have recollection. I don't
Okay,
know.
that's fine, I was just curious. Aside from that, the floor plan that we've shown shows a multitude of tables and chairs and seating available in the restaurant. Is the type of service at this proposed restaurant such that all tables will be served by a wait staff?
That's correct.
Okay. And is it accurate that you will have a management role at this restaurant?
That is correct.
Will you be the only manager of this restaurant?
No, I have family members involved in the business as well, that they will be working as a manager in a restaurant as well.
Okay. And who are those family members?
I do have my brother, Eric Castillo, his wife, and my wife.
Okay. And are you alcohol awareness certified?
No.
Are you aware that you need to be before getting a license and working to get certified?
I am.
Okay. Do you have, well, you spoke to your experience in managing a restaurant from 2009 to 2011. Approximately how many employees were part of that restaurant?
Was about 15 people.
And how many employees do you currently manage under your construction business?
About 16 direct employees.
Okay.
And I will say another 100 indirect.
Okay. And is it accurate that you have hired a business consultant to work with you to develop the business plan for this restaurant as well as training protocol for all employees?
That's correct.
Approximately how many employees do you anticipate having? I should specify by saying employees in addition to your family members who will serve as managers.
Between 20 to 25 is depending how it's gonna go.
Okay. And that's a combination of sort of back of house, kitchen, staff, as well as servers and bartenders, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And as part of the training protocol that you are working with your consultant to prepare, part of that will be designed around the service of alcohol beverages. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Now, is it the plan for that consultant to help develop training protocol, but also be present to implement that protocol?
That is correct.
Okay. So when the restaurant first opens, approximately how long will that consultant be involved?
It's going to be 30 days from the first to make sure everything is open the way it needs to be, and people is getting training accordingly. He's going to be present even before we open. The intention is to bring him at least 30 to 45 days before we open, so the people that can get training before we do the opening.
And so from the date of opening, he'll be there almost daily for a month. After that period of time, is it intended that he will also return and continue serving as a business consultant on a less frequent basis?
That is correct, at least twice a month. And then if it's request to bring him more time, he will come over.
Okay. And so part of that consultant's role will be to help train new employees and reinforce training for existing employees, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you and the other managers will also be training these employees too. It will not just be the consultant, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And do you intend to have all of your bartenders and wait staff upon opening alcohol awareness certified?
That is correct.
Okay. After opening, understanding that there's turnover in the restaurant industry, do you have a plan for any sort of regular certification of new employees?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Approximately how often do you intend to have alcohol awareness certification training of new employees?
At least the first time we're going to get them with the full training, and then after that we're going to get a 90 days, 3 months, every 3 months to training and keep it records for all the trainings.
Okay, so your intent would be that upon opening, every employee who's responsible for serving would be alcohol awareness certified, and after that point in time, approximately every 90 days to 3 months, you would either send or host a certification process for employees who are not certified.
That's correct.
Okay. Have you decided whether your establishment will accept vertical IDs?
Okay, say it one more time, please.
Will your establishment accept vertical IDs?
No.
Okay. And is it part of your employees' training that anyone appearing under the age of 40 will be asked to present an ID?
That's correct.
As part of the employee training, do you plan to notify your employees and train them on this liquor board's rules and regulations booklet?
That's correct.
Are you also aware of the state's attorney's diversion program, whereby any violations are reported to the state's attorney's office for potential prosecution of the offending server?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a plan to notify your employees of that protocol?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Now, you are a member of Fuego Fusion LLC, correct?
Yes.
What percentage of membership do you have in that LLC?
51%.
Okay. And who are the other members of that LLC?
Eric Castillo.
Okay. And Eric is seated to your left, is he not?
Excuse me?
Eric is present and seated to your left, is he
That is
not?
correct.
Okay. And what is your relationship to Eric?
Brother,
Okay. And do you understand that although you've applied to this board as an LLC, you as an individual applicant will be issued the license and will be responsible in the eyes of this board?
that's correct.
Are you familiar with this Carroll County Board Rules and Regulations booklet?
Yes,
Are you willing to comply with all of those rules and regulations?
100%.
That concludes my questions for Mr. Villanueva. Thank you.
How much time will your wife spend there?
Excuse me?
How much time will your wife spend at the establishment?
They will be a member, there will be management and established, and they will be probably a good 30 to 40 hours, depending on how long it will be needed. They're gonna work on the restaurant. That's going to be the full-time job.
The reason I ask that, if I understood what you testified, you're planning to spend just about every day there for a month or something like that?
That was he has hired a business consultant who will also be assisting in the training. That business consultant will be there every day for the first month and then will make regular reappearances. But in addition to that business consultant, there will be management there spread out amongst the 4 people that he described.
But how much time will he be there the first month?
He will be there the whole time.
You.
Oh, me?
Yes.
I'm going to be there on a regular basis.
On a what?
Approximately how often would that be? Give an estimate.
Every day.
And how often will your wife be there? I'm asking for a reason.
All the time. She doesn't have any job currently. She's home, so that's going to be, like I said, a
Full-time.
full-time job.
Good. She'll keep you straight then, right?
Do you plan on having your managers, alcohol management trained also, even if they're not going to be servers or bartenders?
That's correct.
Did you have an alcoholic beverage license at the previous restaurant you owned?
No,
You didn't have alcohol beverage?
no.
Pretty tough to get them in Baltimore County, right?
That's what I heard, but be honest with you, I didn't apply for because the type of restaurant was different. So,
Have you had any experience serving alcohol?
uh,
Involved in an establishment that serves alcohol?
no.
I may have missed it, sir. How often do you intend to be present at that restaurant?
I'm going to be there for the most part every day. Don't know how long I'm going to be there, but I'm going to be there for the most part every day.
When you
Okay.
say how long, Antonio, you mean like how many hours of every
how
day?
many-
You're not sure? Like, I'm just trying to make sure that you're
Yeah,
communicating it correctly. Like, you anticipate like making an appearance at a minimum almost every day?
That is
But
correct.
you might not be there for 8 hours every day?
that is correct.
Okay.
Okay. So you'll show up just about every day.
That is correct.
So you'll have your eyes on the operation and you'll be able to oversee
Yes.
confidently. And you'll be classified as a manager, and then you have other managers who will probably be there at the same time as you, perhaps?
That is correct. There will be a full-time manager position that they will be there all the time.
Okay. And I think you said that you had 4 managers in mind, you and your brother, and then the spouses?
That's correct.
So you-
Yes.
Okay. And of those 4 people, who have, besides yourself, or those people beside yourself, who have had experience in the restaurant business?
Brother, he's been in a restaurant in the past, and the sister-in-law, she was in a restaurant business as well in the past.
Okay. And does that experience involve alcohol sales?
I do believe so. That was up in Jersey. Yes.
Jersey?
What's your anticipated hours of operation? I may have missed that.
Excuse.
Can you restate your anticipated hours of operation?
That will be from 11 to 11,
7 days a week,
7
correct?
days a week.
Tell us about your, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I just, so on the health department part, it says that the plan reviews have not been submitted yet. Has it been since that package? And when do you anticipate you will send that in for review?
It has not been, well, you tell me if I'm wrong, Antonio, but it has not been submitted because the way their lease structure is structured, if they get this approval here today, then they will move forward with the building renovations. And so it will be submitted pending approval here from this board today.
That's correct.
So if they didn't have alcohol, they wouldn't have a restaurant?
I mean, that would have to be a business decision that they would have to make
Gotcha.
under their lease. Their lease is contingent upon them obtaining this approval here today. So without getting into the legalities, like they may be able to waive that if they really wanted to, but that's not the direction we're headed in.
In their lease, there's some language about gross sales. How would your gross sales affect your lease? How are they involved in your lease or in your rent, or are they?
They want,
Mr. Barnhart, can you point, I'm sorry, can you point me to the page? I just want to make sure I'm looking at it too.
It might be section 3.9.
Okay, thank you. Antonio, if you know, you can answer. I just wanted to pull
they
it up.
want, they normally they do the landlord, they want to keep records on sales. I do believe it's just for a good practice to see how business doing.
Okay.
I do believe they don't want people falling under.
So that has nothing to do with the rent, how much alcohol you sell or do not sell?
No.
So that's a pretty big space.
It is.
I'm looking at my notes. So you intend to have 167 dining seats? Does that sound right?
That's what it's calling for, yes.
There's been some pretty good restaurants in there over the years.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experience with the restaurant in Baltimore County. What was your position there and your experience?
I was the owner. I was running the business for a year, and then I was training with some other people like my sisters and another brother, and they was getting involved in that. And it was just a type of a Qdoba type restaurant.
Okay.
Yep.
Alcohol sales?
No.
That's right. You said that.
Yep.
That's right. I'm sorry. You have a sushi bar in your plans?
I do.
And you have a sushi chef in addition to the kitchen chef?
That's correct.
Where did you find your main chef? How long have you known your main chef? This is a big enterprise and very interesting, the fusion of Japanese and Korean food. I'm kind of interested in that, curious. So where did you find this person?
Well, I've been developed this business plan for a while, and my brother, he used to live up in Massachusetts for 20 plus years. And for me to develop this business plan, I was travel around and getting ideas how to develop a good restaurant, and something that we're missing because I've been in Carroll County and in Eldersburg specific for more than 15. And my sister-in-law told me, she says, look, there is somebody is developed this fusion. So I went to the restaurant, I asked for him. It took me a little while to get him because people was annoying somebody going and asking for. And then I developed a good relationship with him. And then I've been follow every location that he currently has. And we get him on a contract.
So he's moving down here?
No, he live actually, he's all over. He's from Massachusetts all the way to Florida.
He's
He
not
got
the
a couple.
chef, right, Antonio? I think that's a confusion. He's not the chef, the one you're talking about, developing the relationship with. Like, he's developing the plan, but he's not literally going to be in the kitchen every day.
Like the menu, he's developing the menu,
He developing the menu.
preparing the food.
He's developing the menu, but he's going to be, for the first month, he's going to be cooking and training the people with all the recipes and all that.
Okay.
Commissioners, have any other questions? This licensee?
Not at the moment.
If not, Ms. Kelly, move on, please.
Thank you. I would next call Mr. Eric Castillo. Eric, can you please state your name, spelling your last name and address for the record?
Hello, my name is Eric Castillo, Castillo. I live in 1325 Walkabout Court, Sykesville, 21784. It's new to me.
And Eric, Antonio just said this, but we'll clarify for the board. You just moved to Carroll County from Boston, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And have you been present throughout this hearing and heard all of Antonio's testimony?
Yes,
Do you find everything he stated thus far to be accurate?
yes.
Is there anything that you want to add to what he said?
Nope.
Okay. And you also filled out and signed this application package before the board, correct?
Yes,
Antonio spoke for you a bit, but you will also be a manager of this restaurant, correct?
yes, that's correct.
Will that be your full-time position?
Yes, for me, yes.
Okay. And you are a member of Fuego Fusion LLC, correct?
Yep,
What is your membership interest in that LLC?
49%.
Okay. And you understand that although you've applied for this license as an LLC, you as an individual applicant are responsible to this board, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Are you familiar with this board's rules and regulations booklet?
yes,
Are you willing to comply with all of those rules and regulations?
yes.
Now, your brother spoke a bit for you in terms of your experience in the restaurant industry, but in anticipation of questions, I will ask you, can you please explain to the board your experience in the restaurant industry?
I worked as waiters at, you may say, at a restaurant for 2 years.
I'm sorry, at where?
At a restaurant in Boston.
restaurant.
Up in Boston, yeah.
Boston, okay.
In that capacity, Eric, did you serve alcoholic beverages?
Yes,
Okay. So part of your role was ID and age compliance and service compliance, correct?
that's correct.
Okay. Those are my only questions of Eric. We're happy if the board has any specifics, but I think Antonio went into most of the details. Thank you.
So, Mr. is it Castillo? Is that how you
Castillo,
pronounce it?
Castillo, yeah.
Castillo. You will be there full-time,
Yes. I actually live right behind it.
excuse me?
I live right behind it.
Ah.
Yeah.
And you just moved to Maryland.
Yes.
Do you have a Maryland driver's license yet?
Not yet. I've only been here for a month. Yeah.
Can you tell us about your driving record?
What do you want to know?
Well, the driving record that's been included in your application, and I may be misreading it, but it looks pretty bad. Looks like you may have accumulated 30 points in Massachusetts in a period of 21 years, 23 years. And that you've had on your record also 5 defaults and payments.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
And it looks like from your driving record in our file that you don't have all these violations compressed into a single area. They are stretched out evenly over a long period of time. Does that sound right?
I work construction in Massachusetts, so I working anywhere from New Hampshire all the way down to Rhode Island. So I'm traveling everywhere.
Okay. And it looks like you've also had some accidents involving property damage, several that are on your driving record?
That I be my fault? No.
It says chargeable.
Where can you? Which one?
We had a
Well, let me
little,
ask you this. Have you ever been in an accident where it was your fault?
Yes, probably like a long time ago.
Okay. All right. How about a criminal record? Do you have a criminal record?
No.
Have you ever been charged with a crime?
Me?
Yes.
No.
You ever been, were you charged in 2008 with buying, receiving, or concealing stolen goods?
With what?
Buying, receiving, or concealing stolen goods? I just, I didn't really get a chance to examine thoroughly the record, but I saw something, a notation there, so I'm just going to ask you. 2008?
It might not be in there. I don't know. Are you looking, are you looking at the driving record?
No, this
No,
is
he's
the FBI
looking,
record.
he's looking at the,
FBI
no.
record.
So,
do you
no.
recall anything in 2008 where you were charged for buying, receiving, or stealing, or
Receiving or
No.
concealing?
concealing
No,
stolen goods?
that, what happened in that incident that you mentioned right now in 2008 was our construction.
Yeah.
So the painters at the job site gave me paint for my house. And I gave them material that we use. I'm a carpenter, so I gave them
Okay.
wood, right? But they did it without letting the owner know.
I got you.
So the owner saw when I put it in my car. And he called the police, everybody got involved, my boss got involved, and, but he got discharged because I didn't steal it. His painters gave it to me.
Okay, so you weren't, so there was no conviction?
No.
So it was kind of a swap,
Yeah,
which happens all the time on a construction
in
site?
construction, yeah. That's why, 'cause he wanted to fire the guy because I didn't tell him the name. I was like, I'm not gonna tell you the name. I mean, I wasn't stealing it.
So going back to your driving record, that's a lot of points consistently throughout a 23-year period of time. Wouldn't you agree to that?
A little bit.
Did you ever lose your license for accumulation of points?
No. Because, I mean, most of them, I didn't,
You didn't
like
contest?
I got tickets for driving my car with a, what do you call it? A rejected ticket,
Yeah, yeah, I saw that,
right?
yeah,
So that will give you points
yeah.
if you paid the ticket. I didn't know. So I would pay the tickets and get the points, and I was accumulating without even knowing, because I learned after my insurance started going up
Yeah.
that you have to fight it when you get the ticket. It was a parking ticket. It wasn't just a ticket. It was a parking ticket. But if you pay it, you get points.
A parking ticket?
Yeah.
Oh, for
'Cause it's got the
having
rejected-
improper tags?
It got a rejected inspection for the car. In Massachusetts, they give you a sticker on the car. That I don't know if you do it here, but every year you gotta inspect your car. But if you get rejected and you are parking on the street and you get a ticket for you can get a ticket for being rejected. But if you pay the ticket, you get points on your license. So if you get the ticket, what you have to do is you gotta go to court and fight it.
Right.
I didn't know. I would just pay it.
No, I understand that because I used to be involved in that type of,
Yeah.
Defense
I mean,
of-
and the
yeah.
last incident I have, the one that recorded, they gave me a ticket for not wearing the seatbelt,
yeah, yeah.
and it wasn't me. It was my son. That when I got pulled over, he saw the cops coming, so he took his seatbelt off. Not everything was good. The cop was leaving. He's like, "Oh, your son doesn't have his seatbelt on." He gave me the ticket.
Because your son was young.
You got 6 payment defaults on your driving record.
Yeah, I lose my tickets every time. So I pay when I get the notice, and then I go online and pay them.
You got 2.5 pages of violations.
Yes.
If you were in the state of Maryland with all those violations, you wouldn't have a driver's license. And you may not be able to get insurance.
But you have a Massachusetts driver's license now that
Oh, yeah.
that you intend to void and get a Maryland license. I think you have 60 days to do that once you become a resident of Maryland.
Yes.
You aware of that?
30.
Is it 30 now? I looked at,
I think it's 45.
It's 30.
what I looked at was said 60, but it's been a while.
I've been retired longer than he has.
Mr. Castillo, are any of your driving-related incidents related to alcohol?
No, I don't drink, so.
I did notice that. That's, I was looking to see.
No, I mean, like I said, I travel a lot. I get pulled over for going 5 miles over the limit, 10 miles over the limit. It's not like I'm driving 80, 90, 100 miles in them.
Yeah, I did not see any reckless driving convictions. There were none, right?
No. And like I said, I'm
Any
like I
questions,
work
further
construction.
questions of this
I'm on the road 5, 6 hours a day.
You're a U.S. citizen, right?
Yes, sir.
How do you see your role at this restaurant? What will you be doing when you walk in the door?
Management, everything, making sure everything is in place, people are doing what they're supposed to, and just serving.
Serving?
Not me, but make sure.
Oh, okay. I have no further questions right at the moment.
I have no questions.
No further questions at this time?
You were correct, it's 60 days.
Eric, can you hand that back to me? Thank you. I would next call our character witnesses.
Okay.
Okay, so if you all would like to, you can just line up at that microphone, whatever's easiest for you. Okay, so whoever wants to start, go ahead. Go ahead, yep.
My name is Lynette Castillo. I live in 1325 Walkabout Court.
Sorry, let me organize my papers here before I lose
Is that
something.
where, Sykesville?
Sykesville.
What's your first name?
Lynette, Lineth.
Okay, sorry, I had to get my packet back together so I didn't lose anything.
She's under oath too, she can't lie.
I know.
The wife's speaking for him now.
All right, Lynette, who are you here today for as a character reference, Eric or Antonio?
Eric,
Okay, and how long have you known Eric?
17 years.
Okay. And how do you know him?
I create a family with him. He's my husband.
Okay. And do you find him to be a fit and proper person to hold a license?
Yes.
In your experience with him, has he been an honest and reliable person?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the location that has been applied for today?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that it will be a benefit to the public to have a restaurant with a license at that location?
I think so. I feel like I think it can provide a lot of work for the community. It can be a booster for the community.
And you and your husband, in fact, just moved down from Boston, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the house that you purchased very recently is in a neighborhood very close to the restaurant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you will also be present regularly as well?
Yes.
Okay. Those are my only questions of this character witness.
Questions?
Thank you.
You bought a house, you and your husband bought a house in Eldersburg?
No, we rent a townhouse.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was my...
Do you have any children?
I can hear you.
Do you have any children, he said?
Oh, we create 3.
3?
We have 13, 14, and 7 years old.
Questions?
No.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can you please state your name and address, spelling your last name?
My name is Diana Molina. I spell my last name Molina. I live in 256 Elkton South, Laurel, Maryland, and the zip code is 20724.
And Diana, are you here today as a character reference for both Antonio and Eric?
That's correct.
Okay. And let's start with Antonio first, unless your answer is the same. How long have you known Antonio?
At least 10 years,
Okay, and how
probably
long?
more.
Okay, and how long have you known Eric?
Probably same years.
Okay, and do you know them? Well, we'll start with Antonio. Do you know Antonio? How do you know Antonio? Is it socially, personally, professionally?
I know him socially, completely socially, because I am, his wife is my friend.
Okay, so you're friends with the family.
Yes.
And do you know Eric in the same capacity?
Exactly.
Okay. And in your experience with both of them, do you find them to be fit and proper people to hold a liquor license? I'm sorry. Do you find both of them to be fit and proper people to hold a liquor license?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, of course.
In your experience with both Antonio and Eric, have you found them to be honest and reliable people?
Yes, I know them as a person with values, an honest person, so yes.
And are you generally familiar with the location where this new restaurant is going to be?
Yes, I am.
Do you believe that it would be a benefit to the public to have a restaurant in that space?
Yes.
Thank you. Those are my only questions of Diana.
Questions?
I have no questions.
No questions.
Thank you.
No questions? Thank you.
Ryan, can you please state your name, spelling your last name, and your address for the record?
It's Ryan McGinn, McGinn. My address is 4309 Lake Forest Court in Finksburg, 21048.
Okay. And Ryan, you are here today as a character reference for Antonio, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you known Antonio?
Over 10 years.
Okay. And how do you know Antonio?
Primarily professional, but we are friends as well, but has been his insurance agent for his business, I believe it maybe since 2012.
Okay. And in your experience with Antonio, do you find him to be a fit and proper person to hold this license?
Yes. Yes.
Have your experiences led you to believe that he is an honest and reliable person?
Always.
Are you familiar with the location that's been applied for a new restaurant?
I am.
Okay. And do you believe that it would benefit the public to have a restaurant in that location with a license?
Yeah, I do, especially because I live close by, and I think it looks like a nice upscale place. It would be great to have one.
Thank you. Those are my only questions of Ryan.
I have no questions.
Questions?
No questions.
Thank you.
Karen, can you please state your name, spelling your last name, and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Karen Pecora Barber, Pecora-Barber, B-A-R-B-O-U-R, and I reside at 180 Federal and Court in Westminster, Maryland.
Okay. And Karen, you are here today as a character reference for Antonio, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How long have you known Antonio?
Since he started his business in around 2012.
Okay. And how do you know him? Is it professionally, personally?
Both. I am a surety bond agent. He came to me when he started his company. He wanted to know how to grow his company. I didn't think after spending 5 hours that I would actually see him again because it was so much information. But a year later, he came to me with everything. And he has grown his company from 80,000 in sales to over 20 million. He has 40 million in bonding capacity. He does everything by the book. He has won numerous awards. He is a certified MBE in the state of Maryland and is an advocate for his community. I also have a nonprofit called Party for a Cure. We help children in Maryland with neuromuscular diseases. He has been an avid supporter, very big contributor. He has actually provided all the HVAC equipment for 2 homes. Didn't ask for a penny. He has been there to service it, and he's there on a dime. He does everything correctly. I've been to his home. I know his children. I've seen them grow up. His wife, Jamie, you don't have to worry about her being a manager. She is an excellent manager. And that family is the most hardworking, fastidious people I've ever met. And they do believe in the American dream.
Well, I think you already answered this, Karen, but I'll ask you bluntly. Do you believe that Antonio is a fit and proper person to hold this license?
I do.
Okay. And in your experience with him, have you found him honest and reliable?
More than honest.
Are you generally familiar with the location where the new restaurant would be?
Yes, it's near where the Liberatories restaurant is.
Yes. Do you believe that that would be a benefit to the public to have a restaurant with a license at that location?
Yes, and I agree with others here that it's going to employ a lot of people. I mean, he employs a lot of people now. He grew from a two-person operation to what he is today, so he has no intention of being an insignificant to the community.
Thank you very much. Those are my only questions of Ms. Barber.
What's the name of his proper construction company?
It's called Global Mechanical. He also opened up an electrical company. He does large work, multifamily housing for people like Harkins Builders, Southway Builders, Hamel Commercial, you name it. All the big developers he does work for. Never had a bond claim, never had a situation come up with his bonding. He has a very good surety company, hard to get into with that surety company.
What company is it?
It's called Berkeley Insurance.
Where are they housed?
Berkeley, I deal with the office in Philadelphia.
Any other questions?
No.
And I own my own agency, been in Carroll County since 2002 with my company.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks.
Dennis, last but not least, can you please state your name, spelling your last name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Dennis Boyle, B-O-Y-L-E. My address is 129 Liberty Road, Eldersburg, Maryland, 21784.
And Dennis, are you here today as a character reference for both Antonio and Eric?
That's correct.
Okay. We're going to go through them one by one. Approximately how long have you known Antonio?
I've known Antonio for definitely 10 or 12 years. I was, my first knowledge of Antonio is he called me to lease a space in Eldersburg, and since I've been his real estate agent for a number of years and helped him with the restaurant location now.
Okay. And how long have you known Eric?
I've known Eric for about 2 years. I met him about 2 years ago, and for about the last year, Antonio came to me with the vision of starting the restaurant, so Eric was involved in that process as well. So we've probably spent the last year communicating, trying to find a proper location. Antonio was doing some research to get everything ramped up, and we found the location in Eldersburg.
So again, you sort of answered this, but you know both of them professionally and a bit socially, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And do you find Antonio to be a fit and proper person to hold a license?
Yes.
Do you also find Eric to be a fit and proper person to hold a license?
Yes.
Okay. In your dealings with Antonio, has he presented himself as an honest and reliable person?
Yes, he has.
In your dealings with Eric, has he also presented himself as an honest and reliable person?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the location that's been applied for?
Yes, it's a very good location, very good opportunity. I think it's going to do well in Eldersburg.
Do you believe that it will be beneficial to the public to have a restaurant with a license at that location?
Yes, it's been a number of restaurants, so it's he's taken a property that's been sitting vacant since January, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity for the community and for them.
Thank you. Those are my only questions of Mr. Boyle.
How long have you known Eric?
I met him first about 2 years ago, and then at Antonio's place of business, and then more so for probably the last year when we started the communication of the restaurant itself.
Questions?
And what qualities did you notice in Eric that make you think that he's a fit and proper person to be a holder of a liquor license?
I think that they both have the same quality of hardworking. We've been at the restaurant, at the location a number of times over the last 2 months. We started this process probably back in April or May, negotiating the lease, and both Eric and Antonio have been there a number of times with the architect, and just through the planning stages and talking to them, I think they both have that same hardworking quality.
Other questions? Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
That concludes my presentation of testimony.
Inspector, do you have any comments?
Nothing to add.
Any other questions at this time?
No, but I do have a motion to make,
With that,
unless someone has any questions.
No questions?
Can I add one more thing? I just wanted to say financially, he had mentioned to me about this restaurant, and I told him, I said, please, this is like several years ago, wait till your company is honed so well to where you can leave it and manage this restaurant, and it is. I know his company inside and out, I see his financial statements, I evaluate them, he has the financial wherewithal to turn this place into a beautiful establishment, just wanted to let you know.
I'm going to close testimony and so forth. You want to make a motion before?
Yeah, I do.
If there are no other questions, you have some comments or a motion?
Mr. Chairman, before we close testimony, I would like the opportunity to seek legal advice during a brief recess.
I second the motion.
Motion has been properly made and second that we recess for the purpose of receiving legal advice. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We're back in session.
I move that we go back on the record.
A second?
Motion's been properly made and seconded that we resume going back on the record. There's no further discussion on the motion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. A recess was declared to receive legal advice. With that, is there any other questions of the applicants?
No.
Hearing none, testimony and evidence has been presented, is now closed, and this board will now debate the application's merits and hopefully come to a decision.
Mr. Chair, may I have the opportunity for a quick summation?
The legal advice was to discuss whether it was possible to issue a license for one person or not. Okay?
I appreciate that. I was curious if I could make a brief closing statement.
I apologize, I missed that. Yes, ma'am, you may.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to be here before you today. I think that it was said in a roundabout way, but I'll say it bluntly, that these are two applicants who have really put a lot of thought and planning into the establishment of this operation. They have recently entered into a lease for this space. However, leading up to that was at least a year, if not more, of planning and thought process that went into this business plan. And these are also, not that this is a qualification for an application, but I do think it's relevant to point out that these are two individuals who live in close proximity to this restaurant, whose families are going to be directly involved, and this truly will be a family operation run by family members who are able and available to be present on premises almost all of the time, which is, I think, a huge asset, even if it's not a requirement of this board. I also think that you heard from two qualified applicants. I understand that there were some concerns about Mr. Castillo's driving record. What I will say to you is that I understand those. I mean, he's not here to provide excuses for those instances on his driving record. I do think that you will see that because of his role in the construction industry and travel, there was more opportunity, and unfortunately more instances were occurring. That will not be the case now that he's relocated to Maryland and employed in the restaurant industry, where he will be working close to home. And I think that in all other regards, he still has presented as a very honest and reliable person and is more than qualified for a license. So I would respectfully request that this board grant the Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to the establishment, obviously conditioned upon any final health department and building permit process and approvals as well, understanding that those still need to happen for this location. Thank you.
Inspector Benford, any closing comments?
Nothing else to add.
Now, it's closed, and we will proceed to deliberate the validity and request of the applicants. Commissioners?
I can appreciate the attorney's statements on how long it takes to plan, process, the diligence it takes, the money, the diligence to have this happen. I feel that Antonio is extremely capable in whatever he wants to pursue, based on Karen's glowing remarks on his character. Mr. Castillo, although has had some problems in the past, I feel that the older brother will make sure that things go right, if not the wife, when she's there. So I have hopes that the workings will be diligent in making sure that everything is run properly, professionally. That being said, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Barnhart.
I agree with everything that you said, Commissioner Mulvaney. I do have very high confidence that Mr. Villanueva is a fit and proper person to hold a liquor license in Carroll County. And I agree that the testimony of Ms. Pecora is very compelling. in that regard. And frankly, all of the character witnesses strongly supported granting this application. And now my confidence in Mr. Castillo is not as high as my confidence in his older brother, only for the reason of what we have in our record, in our file, which is the driving record, which showed a persistent pattern of violating motor vehicle laws in the state of Massachusetts. And I'm not going to make this argument, but it could be made by someone else that perhaps shows a disregard for laws, regulations, rules of the road. I'm not going to go that far. I heard the applicant's explanation that he drives during his time in Massachusetts, that he put on many miles travel, and therefore had many opportunities to engage with the police, maybe at a little excessive rate of speed. And I, from my past experience with my clients, I know that often people will pay a fine rather than to contest a fine, and that you automatically get points. I understand that explanation. I am troubled by the record. However, your counsel makes a very good point to me that this is a family, this is going to be a family-run business. And perhaps if it was just one applicant, I might feel differently, but the way it's being set up as a family-run business, and I think this is a very good family that we have in front of us today. I think that that my lack of confidence will not end up being justified. I think that you will do a good job working with your family, and that even though you have a past where maybe you didn't obey all the laws, and I think that going forward in the environment that you're going to find yourself in, that you'll do quite well. We're told, and I believe it, that this is a hard-working family, and a family that's dedicated to making this restaurant a success. So based on those points, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, I'm prepared to make a motion in this case.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, in the case number 6578, I move that the application of these two gentlemen be approved for the license as stated, pending receipt of all certifications and inspections.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been properly made and seconded that this board approve an application for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license to be issued to Juan Anthony Villanueva and Eric Francisco Castillo for the use of Fugo Fusion LLC, trading as Veka Moo, 6300 Georgetown Boulevard in Suite 103, Sykesville, Maryland, 21784. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Congratulations. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Good luck. We hope you last down there for many, many years and keep building whatever you're building.
Thanks. We hope to see you there.
Industry will support him. They're going to have all their meetings here. I got the next one, so.
You want to take a break before this next hearing, or what?
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Thank you so very much.
Now back in session. At this time, I would ask Mr. Dixon to call case 6576, please.
All right, case 6576, a violation hearing for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license issued to Tulsi Geary for the use of Gandaki Operating Company LLC, trading as Spargo's, 3165 Main Street, Manchester, Maryland, 21102. Violation hearing for sale to a minor. Presence of minors on licensed premises, alcohol awareness training, and peace and safety of the community. In the file of this matter, we have notice of public hearing, August 29th, 2025. Notice of public hearing in the newspaper, August 22nd, 2025. A August 15th, 2025 letter from Kelly Schaefer Miller to the board. Notice of intention to defend with the box checked, I am pleading not culpable, not guilty, and contesting the violation. Please see attached letter. And I request that the board issue a subpoena for the following individuals. I request the presence of the police officer, 8/7/2025. Let's see, July 22nd, 2025 letter from Kelly Schaefer Miller. She's requesting a postponement. There's a July 23rd, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Tulsi Geary in the file. There's a July 22nd, 2025 letter from Kelly Schaefer Miller to the board, requesting a postponement. There's a July 18th, 2025 notice of public hearing in the newspaper. There's a July 10th, 2025 letter from Joe Vance to Tulsi Geary. There is a inspector's report, licensee and Board of License Commissioners. It has violations of the Alcoholic Beverage Code, 6-304, Local Rule 39, presence of minors on licensed premises. The 6-304 is selling and providing alcoholic beverage to individual under the age of 21. Local Rule 67, alcohol awareness training, and Local Rule 62, peace and safety of the community. I would ask that the file be entered into evidence.
We'll accept that into evidence. At this time, I would ask all those who intend to testify in this case, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in by Ms. Vance.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
May be seated.
I might be incorrect, but I thought we were going to be moving by way of proffer from the attorneys as opposed to testimony today, but maybe.
That is,
Your assumption is
it's still better
correct.
to have everybody sworn in just in case there are questions asked.
Okay, all right.
Are we settled now?
If I may continue, I have an opening statement, and then we can get into everything.
Please do.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board of Commissioners. It is good to see you again. My name is Liz Moore. I am the Assistant County Attorney. I'm here on behalf of the county and the inspectors this morning. We appear before you today in regard to case number 6576, which constitutes the violation for the Class B beer, wine, and liquor license issued to Tulsi Geary, doing business as Spargo's, which is located at 3165 Main Street in Manchester. It should be noted, as you've heard before I get into any details, that a joint plea agreement between the county and the respondent is being proffered this morning. This has been extensively negotiated in good faith, which is being presented today. It is at the board's discretion, of course, to accept this plea, deny this plea, or amend this plea. We simply present what has been negotiated to you. For a bit of background, Mr. Geary appeared before you on September 13th of 2023 for a transfer hearing of the liquor license to his name, and that license was issued on October 5th of 2023. To bring us to current day, there are 4 alleged violations which have been read to wit, which is the selling or providing of the alcoholic beverage to an individual under the age of 21, to which the respondent pled culpable with an explanation, and to which this is his first violation. Local Rule 39, which is the presence of minors on the licensed premise, to which the respondent also pled culpable with an explanation, and to which this is a first-time violation. Local Rule 67, which is alcohol awareness training, to which the respondent pled culpable with an explanation, to which this is a first-time violation. And Local Rule 62, which is the peace and safety of the community, to which the respondent originally had pled not culpable and is contesting. However, we would note that with the acceptable plea agreement by the board, the respondent is essentially willing to plead culpable with an explanation, but you'll hear more from them on this matter. It should be noted that if the present plea agreement or a similar plea agreement that are satisfactory to the respondent is not reached, the pleas noted above may change and we may be back for a full hearing. The pleas, as discussed, now that we've discussed a lot about the pleas, what is the plea itself? What has been negotiated is as follows: a fine of $1,250, as well as 6 days of suspended alcohol sales. Those 6 days would be served over the course of 2 weekends, Fridays to Sundays. The county would request that one of these weekends be this immediate weekend, the 12th through 14th, as to demonstrate the immediate need for action against the license holder and the seriousness of this matter. The other weekend we would proffer would be any weekend the board may find acceptable outside of certain holiday weekends. Additionally, Mr. Geary, who is here before you today with his attorney, Ms. Schaefer-Miller, I believe has brought requested documentation reflecting the last year of receipts of the sale of food and alcoholic beverages to demonstrate the compliance with the percentages as required under the rules and regulations of the license commissioners. I will let them present that evidence, however. The county would present that since the assumption of the license in 2023, the Sheriff's Office, the Manchester Police Department, and the Hampstead Police Department have provided a total of 12 reports that indicate or mention Spargo's or Two Doors Down name. Two Doors Down, for reference, is the pub and grill that operates at the same building and is encompassed within this license. This number only includes information through the close of the deadline to notify the respondent of charges to bring this case. However, of the provided reports and the investigations, they do include matters such as DUI reports, disorderly conduct, open containers, noise violations, etc. On April 15th of this year, 2025, Liquor Inspector Keith Benfer, Mr. Geary, his manager, several town officials, Chief Hess, and Sergeant Runk all met in which a discussion was had regarding the events that had occurred and the reports that had been made, as well as potential suggestions to prevent further issues. It was determined that not all of the suggestions were taken, as subsequent to this meeting, an additional DUI report was made on July 26th. And when Mr. Benfer went to Spargo's for their yearly inspection, no staff working that day was available who had the alcohol management training. I cannot speak on behalf of the business. I do believe Mr. Geary intends to submit to questioning today, as well as present mitigating evidence of which the county has had the chance to review. Should further questioning be necessary, to which includes further proof or questions of outside witnesses, we would request that this hearing be postponed to allow the full presentation of evidence and preparation, as the accepted plea agreement not be acceptable. The county finds the presented plea agreement actions to be completed by the license holder to be acceptable and weighty consequences for the actions which have led us here to today. However, we are open to the board's expertise and opinion on this matter. Aside from Ms. Schaefer-Miller's opening statement, we welcome any questions you may have of us, and I believe most of this case is going to come from Mr. Geary himself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Kelly Schaefer-Miller, 73 East Main Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. I'm here this morning on behalf of Spargo's with Tulsi Geary, who is present and seated to my right. I appreciate Ms. Moore's sort of summation of the situation, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have of that. I think the goal here today, if you will, is to reach what everyone believes would be a reasonable penalty, assuming culpability of these violations, without having a full hearing, which if that is necessary, would then go into the details of culpability. And so if this board is willing to consider the, I don't know that it's officially a plea bargain, but we'll call it that for purposes of this, then that would be agreed to by both parties and implemented immediately, which would be, as Ms. Moore stated, the first weekend in September as the most recent weekend in September, if you will, this upcoming weekend, suspension for 3 days. And then I would suggest to this board the following weekend, a suspension of 3 days. So 2 back-to-back weekends in September. But I have a few things to share with you, even though we're not having a full hearing at this moment. I still want to share some things with you. And the first thing I want to share with you is a statement that Tulsi actually prepared at his own initiative. He felt like it would be a little bit clearer for me to read it because of understanding his accent. And so he has prepared this. These are his words, and I will read them to you. I then have just a little bit of additional, more, I guess you could call it technical information for you. So first, Tulsi's statement. He would like to say to everyone here, good morning. My name is Tulsi Geary. I'm the owner of Spargo's Restaurant and Bar. I have been in the hospitality industry for over 25 years, working with respected hotels and restaurants around the world before making Maryland my home. About 2 years ago, this board granted me the liquor license for Spargo's, and since then, I have operated with full commitment to compliance, safety, and responsibility. All of my employees are TIP certified, and I personally hosted training sessions to ensure proper alcohol service in November 2023. Sorry, you got to give me a second with my voice. I got to have some tea in between here. This business is not just a restaurant. It is my family's life. I have 2 daughters, ages 8 and 10, and everything I do is for them. Every morning, I wake up early to shop for fresh ingredients, and I work every day to make sure our guests have the best experience. My home is pledged as collateral for the loan that allowed me to operate Spargo's. Without the liquor license, the business cannot survive, and my family and I would lose both our restaurant and our home. Over my career, I have worked in leadership roles with some of the world's most respected hospitality organizations, including the Four Seasons Hotel in Baltimore, the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco, Mandarin Oriental in Las Vegas, MGM Resorts in Las Vegas, Burj Al Arab, Dubai, and Emirates Palace, Abu Dhabi. I have always taken pride in delivering excellence, following safety standards, and training my team to provide top quality service. I am deeply committed not only to running a safe and responsible business, but also to being a good member of this community, providing jobs, supporting local vendors, and offering a welcoming place for guests. I respectfully ask the board to allow me to continue operating Spargo's Restaurant and Bar in full compliance with all liquor laws and regulations. I've given everything to this community, my time, my experience, and the comfort I once had. Before Spargo's, I lived a successful and balanced life. I had time for my daughters, I had peace, but I made a choice. I chose to serve and cook for Carroll County. From the day I opened Spargo's, it has been a struggle. No days off, no holidays, and no family time. Just hard work, long hours, and constant sacrifice. Not for money, not for recognition, but because I believe this community deserves honest food, genuine hospitality, and a place that feels like home. If it's wrong to give up comfort for commitment, then so be it. I stand by my decision. I always welcome feedback and I always listen, but I ask, please see this from the small business owner's side. Behind every dish, every decision, and every challenge is a person, a father, a chef, a neighbor, giving everything just to keep going. Spargo's isn't just a business, it's my dream, my life's work, and my legacy for my daughters. So those were Tulsi's words. I have my own words. My words are not as emotional. But as Liz introduced, this license E came before this board in September of 2023. That was the original date of the transfer hearing. The ownership actually changed in October of 2023. So Tulsi is coming up on about 2 years of owning this establishment. Our goal here is today to resolve the concerns in a mutually agreeable way without getting into all of the details that would necessitate a full hearing, which will happen if necessary. In transferring ownership, I just want to say that Tulsi had much greater capital costs than initially anticipated, so that contributes to some of his financial investment in the business. There were some substantial renovations that needed to occur that were not apparent when he initially decided to purchase the business, that became apparent after he purchased the business. So he has made an even greater financial commitment at this point in time than was communicated to this board at his original license hearing. He does speak sincerely. I believe that. Tulsi is also a very present owner. This is not a situation where Tulsi is not available on premises. In fact, he's usually obtaining the food in the morning and the goods for the restaurant, and then he's at the restaurant from opening until 6 to 8 p.m. on I'll say the quote-unquote less busy days, and on the busy days, he's there until about 1:30 to 2 a.m. So he is there. He is not a bartender, but he is there as a manager and in the back of the house. I understand that, you know, you have heard a summation that leads one to conclude that there are problems, but I will say that so far this establishment has passed all of its compliance checks. Tulsi, one of the first things he did, which he kind of said in his summation, but I'll clarify, is that when he took ownership, there were a lot of employees at Spargo's who were longstanding employees, well trained in the service of alcoholic beverages, but not officially certified. And so what Tulsi did upon taking ownership is that he had all employees certified. You'll also see that Spargo's has less employees now than they operated with for many years, because Tulsi's really tried to listen to the feedback of his staff and create schedules and hours and such that most benefit the staff. And I've had the opportunity of also speaking with them and appreciate their input as well, but they would agree with that, I believe. We understand, and the one violation that no one is contesting is that at the time that Mr. Benfer visited the premises that one day, there was no one alcohol certified at the premises. What I will say about that is that was an incredibly rare situation, because Tulsi takes pains to make sure that even his kitchen staff is usually alcohol certified. And so even if a manager is not there, even if Tulsi is not there, almost always there is a certified individual. Unfortunately, that did happen. Mr. Benfer came and there was not a certified individual. Since then, the individual that Mr. Benfer spoke to has been put through the certification and is certified. As a reminder, this establishment does not accept vertical IDs. So I just want to briefly walk through some of the things that have been done in response to some of the concerns that were raised at the meeting that Ms. Moore spoke to. I think those are relevant for you to just be aware of in considering this, what has concluded with this plea proposal to you here today. So as a result of the meeting in April of 2025, there were several changes made to the business. They've kind of been implemented over time. They were not all made the first day. They sort of phased in to see what would work and what was helping. So here is a summation of those. First of all, again, not that we're getting into the weeds, but you will see that if you look at some of the logs, you'll see lots of police responding to the site. That is because the alarm system was faulty and was sending out false alarms. So when you see that log, you'll see a lot of just like property check, property check. That was from a faulty alarm system. That has since been fixed. The alarm system is now functioning properly. There were some concerns about outdoor speakers, music, noise, outdoors on that back patio. I'm not certain how familiar you all are with the specifics of that location, but there is a small back patio that kind of fronts that alley that runs behind the building. And so those all outdoor speakers have been removed, so they no longer exist. There is no one allowed outside on the patio after 9 p.m. When Tulsi initially implemented this, he installed signage to indicate this to patrons. That didn't seem to be working super well. So what Tulsi did as a result of that is he actually hired a backdoor person who is also alcohol certified now, to sort of patrol. Like, the role is to kind of oversee that area during the peak hours of activity. There was some concern expressed in that meeting about a bit of a motorcycle gang presence coming to the location. That's a difficult thing to deal with, but Tulsi implemented a dress code policy that prohibits cutoffs, which are, I should not speak to this, but I believe they are the vest attire. The downstairs area in this establishment has pool tables. So there's a bar area, but then there's an area that's kind of like segregated with a little half sort of wall, and there's pool tables. Prior to this, the pool tables, you could play pool if you were 18 years old. Now Tulsi has implemented just 21 in that whole area so that you can better, hopefully, check for age compliance in that area, and that there's not somebody who's in that area that then is walking up to the bar. They have also sort of implemented a policy where if you come in sort of a seeming group of people, like let's say you come in to play pool, even if not all of you walk up to the bar, your group is being checked for ID. So even if you're not necessarily ordering at the bar. They've also noticed a self-observation that perhaps some DJs bring different crowds. And so they have been more selective about any DJs that come to the site in order to sort of control the type of crowd. I will leave it at that. This is an applicant who takes this matter very seriously, who's been receptive to changes and willing to work with people. Right now, we are looking at the allegations on their face without getting into whether they are true or whether they are accurate. And so it has been a goal of Tulsi's to work with the inspector and Liz, the assistant county attorney, to try to come up with a penalty that is reasonable in light of no full hearing on culpability, but that is also serious enough to address the concerns of the inspector. And so that is how this is being presented to this board. I hope you understand that, as Liz stated, there was a lot of discussion about this, and it is our hope that you will take that seriously in your deliberations and understand how much thought and back and forth went into that proposal. And again, just to refresh, the proposal is a fine of $1,250 and 2 weekends with suspended alcohol service. Those weekends, as Liz proposed, are this upcoming weekend of September 12th through 14th, and then I would submit to you a back-to-back weekend of September 19th through the 21st. Those are Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for a total of 6 days. We are here and happy to answer any questions that the board has, again, noting that if this becomes really in the weeds, we are going to have to postpone this until next month for a full public hearing with all of the evidence presented to you. So we very much appreciate your time and consideration here today.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, you have heard the presentation on behalf of the county as well as on behalf of the licensee. Do you have any pertinent questions as to the information that you have received from both attorneys?
I just have a couple. And either attorney, I guess, can answer. How was the fine of $1,250 arrived at? I guess the alcohol awareness fine is $100. And then the other offenses, did you, in your discussions, did you break it down that you thought that this amount of money should be attributed to this violation, or maybe you can explain to me?
Kelly, I'm happy to jump in on this one if you'd like.
It's up to you, Liz. If you want to jump in, I'll add if I think you miss anything.
Essentially, where we came to with this was we took the amount, so we took a historical look at what similar situations have been fined according to your board in the past and the last year. We also took into account statutory limitations and things like that, and then essentially went to the maximum amount we've seen your board charge and doubled that amount, and that's how we ended up with $1,250.
So for peace and safety, did you attribute any amount of the fine to that violation?
I believe each amount was attributed to the 3 that they had pled culpable with an explanation to, at about approximately about $200 a pop, give or take, to get you to 600 total, and then that was doubled. And then the 2 weekends covered the remaining one, covered that peace and safety of the community.
It was
Keith,
sort of
Without getting
Kelly, if
smacked.
you're also okay.
Well, it was sort of an emphasis that the concern and or harsher penalty, if you will, is a suspension. And so that was the beginning of the discussion. And then the fine was kind of calculated as Liz, I think she laid that out pretty well. But that the suspension was the more serious, if you can, yes.
Kelly, if you're okay with it, I think Keith had a little.
If he,
Well, for the alcohol awareness, that's mandatory by the state, a $100 fine for that. Serving an underage first offense, usually $300 by the board. We never had a fine or a violation with someone sitting at the bar that was under 21.
Underage, yeah.
So $250, $300, you know, and then, as they said, just doubled it.
Okay.
Come up in that ballpark.
So in the negotiations, the peace and safety was really,
The suspension.
the suspension was attributed more toward that than a monetary fine.
Yes.
Correct.
And has there been any discussion about this plea with the Hampstead Police Department?
The Hampstead Police Department.
Manchester, I believe.
Yeah, Manchester Police Department. And no, it was not, as they're not a party to this case.
Hampstead did have one DUI report from this case.
So who brought the complaint to your attention? I thought it was Hampstead after that DUI.
No, Manchester Police
Has
Department.
there any been discussion with Manchester Police Department?
Again, not a party, so they were not relevant to the plea discussion portion of this.
Okay.
But they do know
They're the
about
one-
Yeah, they are aware of it, though.
Okay. So they're aware of it, and they haven't,
And they were-
I'm not asking if they signed off. I'm asking if they're aware.
I mean, you can ask the sergeant is here to answer questions from the Manchester Police Department if you want.
Right. So there's no objection from
No.
law enforcement? I guess is my question.
Correct.
It was my understanding with discussion that I've had prior to the meeting with council, that someone was dismissed as a result of the charges. Am I correct or not?
I believe he means a staff member. Kelly, was any staff member dealt with in the course of this?
Was anybody fired after one of the police reports? Was any staff fired?
I thought I guess I misinterpreted, but I thought that somebody involved with the
Were any staff
situation that
members
brought this
talked to
all
about
on
this?
was,
Yeah, I mean, yes, the
No
staff
longer
members
there.
have been talked to, and what I will say is, if you're not familiar with the establishment, there are 2 kind of main bartenders at the
Right.
establishment. One has been there for about 30 years, and one has been there for about 15 years. They've both been very long-standing employees in the industry, are certified, and have continued doing a good job from all of our perspectives.
I have another question for council. Do you think it would be a constitutional problem to prohibit colors at a restaurant?
I thought about this a little bit when thinking about the dress code. I truly don't know. I think I would have to look into that. But I know that there have been challenges to dress codes.
Right. So that's
But we are open to suggestions, and we can certainly look into suggestions if you think that there's one that's a better
several
mechanism.
establishments in Carroll County have those requirements.
Okay.
They're supposed to take the vest off before they go into the establishment.
Okay. But in the case before us today, it's just cutoffs is the technical
The vest.
code. Vests.
The vest.
So
They're cut. It's not cut off, it's their cut. Is their vest.
I know what they are. I thought the testimony was cutoffs, and
It was cut off, but that's not
I
correct.
think my terminology might have been failing in that regard because Tulsi tells me that it would be interpreted the way you just said it, which is like the vests are not allowed.
okay. And there's been no problems since these mitigation efforts that you described have been put into place? Things have calmed down?
From our perspective, yes. There have been some additional reports, or I shouldn't even say reports, patrols, if you will, from the police since this initial violation was brought. It would, I will say this, and I'm happy to speak with Sergeant Runk too, but it would be our goal that if we are able to enter into a plea agreement with this board here today, that we would like to have another meeting with the Manchester Police Department and revisit this discussion and discuss the things that we have implemented as an establishment and see if there are any additional improvements that can be made.
So I don't know to what extent I can ask questions with the plea agreement and such. My concerns are, I have a statement in front of me that a meeting was had on April 15th, that changes were going to be made. And on July 23rd, when the inspector was there, no changes had been made. So there's that time frame that and now you say now the changes have been made. So what precipitated that? And I will point out that during our September 23 meeting, a member of the neighborhood showed up with all of these concerns, and Mr. Tulsi at that time assured us he would address it. And it's now 2 years later, and here we are. So that's kind of my concerns on this whole issue.
Well, I will let Mr. Benford chime in if he has any additional details, but I do not, Ms. Malhini, I think that changes were made, implemented after that meeting. It's not that, Keith, maybe you'll disagree with me. I don't think Keith's report was that no changes had been made.
During the meeting, it was determined that Tulsi had not followed up on his promises from the meeting of April 15th. That's the statement I have in front of me. Third paragraph down, summary of incidents at Spargo's.
That was another meeting I had with just Chief Hess and Sergeant Runk. It referenced some of the stuff outlined earlier, the taking the IV, posting the sign, that was done. Tulsi's involvement in the beginning was, he was there, he could talk to him, but then his involvement leaned, and he wasn't there as much at nighttime.
So that's what you're referencing here when
That's what
it
I'm
says that the
referencing.
changes weren't made. Just only specific changes were being made during that time frame.
Yeah, the initial changes that they talked about was the no colors, the removing of the signage for no 9 PM. But down the road, people started hanging out there again. The speakers were gone, but people were still hanging out on the patio. He was not involved as much as he was in the beginning, since the first meeting. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's just, this statement then is a little ambiguous to the eye when you look at it, and it says that he had not followed up.
I think it was
makes
just Keith sharing his perspective in the statement.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. And you had said all employees certified. I guess that was only in the very beginning, because apparently now all employees are not certified.
They are all employees
Now,
certified today.
now all employees certified, only the kitchen staff, like two not certified. One is part-time and one cooks is not certified.
And I apologize, I did bring the sales and use figures as
like-
well. You have the chart. I have the full packet, but I only have one copy. I gave it to Liz on a flash drive. So what I did, yeah, sure, that would be awesome, thank you.
have multiple
Actually, you can
copies.
have all. What I did is I put together a chart of each month's reports that shows the gross sales, what the calculation would be at 41% of those sales, and then the actual food sales and the actual alcohol sales figures into a chart so that it would be easy to digest. But I will summarize by saying that I think it was just a request of this board to show that this establishment is in compliance with the Class B license requirements, and from my review, they exceed compliance with those requirements.
You have the actual report that he submitted to you?
I have all of them right here. I'm happy to pass them around, sorry. And Liz has them on a flash drive as well, because they were
And that's what
the
he submitted
PDFs.
to you from?
His accountant provided them to
Okay,
me
thank you.
from what he submits to the state of Maryland, yes.
I can get it plugged in and show up on the computer screen, but as you see, it's quite a voluminous document. I'm not
And
sure.
also, I'm happy to prove that we are in compliance. I'd prefer not to publicize all of his financial and tax records as well.
Yes, if we want to show the digital copy, we're happy to view it in a closed portion, if need be.
When I requested that, I just simply requested the synopsis is what you got here, and I appreciate the entire thing, but that was my request, not to.
And the synopsis, I believe, was that first document that was handed up.
Yes, yes. The synopsis is the chart that I prepared based on reviewing those reports.
To confidential.
I believe the synopsis is not considered confidential, correct?
You can send one to George, too.
I mean, I'd rather not broadcast his sales figures, but we're happy to prove compliance with the rules, yes.
Questions, commissioners? Back for audit for her. Let's do it. So if I understand the plea, or whatever you want to call it, arrangement, consists of a $1,250 fine, 6 days suspension occurring over 2 weekends.
That is correct. Each council has made their own requests as to what those weekends may be, but ultimately we do leave that up to the board's discretion.
And it's council's recommendation that it be, if this is accepted, this week, coming weekend, and the following weekend.
The county's council requests purely this weekend be the primary first location. We have no strong thoughts about any secondary weekend. I believe Respondents' Council has made their own request as to the second weekend. We don't disagree with the second weekend, we just have no strong feelings on it.
Commissioners, you've heard.
Well, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Winnie, I'll go first. I very much appreciate the statement from the licensee. It was I give it a lot of weight. It was moving, and I think it was from the heart. It's well written, by the way. And I think you have a very large personal and financial commitment to making the situation work. Suspension of license is certainly not appropriate in this case. I think that the proposal by the county and licensee is appropriate. Listening to Ms. Miller's recitation of the efforts to mitigate the issue, I think is pretty comprehensive, and hopefully that it's successful completely. I guess the reason we're here today is because law enforcement resources have been devoted disproportionately, I think, to Spargos in recent history, and that maybe prompted our involvement. So that's a concern to us. Public safety is very important to this board. It sounds like that it's also important to you, and you realize that if that's paramount in our minds, it should be paramount in your mind as well. And if it certainly seems like at times Spargos would have been a public nuisance, which can be public safety too, because it involves law enforcement resources and things like that. But I think you've gone a long way to resolving that issue, hopefully. Your attorney made a very good, compelling case for the acceptance of this agreement that's been negotiated between the parties in front of us. Those are my thoughts on the agreement, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Mawini, any comments?
Just that I agree with everything Commissioner Barnhart said, and we can appreciate the commitment you've given to the business, and hopefully moving forward, the commitment to the community as well. That being said,
Go
ahead, I'm sorry.
I'd just like to make comments. I think the licensee has tried to the best of his ability, and with the comments that have been made, and certainly the comments that he made in his letter. Also, if I'm maybe incorrect, but I think this is only one of 2 establishments in the town of Manchester that has an alcohol license.
As in restaurants, yes, as in restaurants.
Yeah.
But there's
a packaged goods store, yeah. I think for the concern, probably, and I don't speak for my colleagues other than I think they're concerned too, is it's a gathering place a little bit, and I think he has tried to make revisions and so on and so forth, and perhaps maybe have to change a few of his hours and so on and so forth to help see that nothing like this happens in the evenings or later on in the evenings. And as been pointed out, it's a strain on police response times that they could be doing other things maybe more important than this, so forth. And with that, I think that a lesson has been learned here, and hopefully it has been received and will be accomplished, so we don't see it back for the same reasons again. With that, Commissioner Mawini, you wanted to continue?
I would be prepared to make a motion, if it so pleases the chairman.
Please do.
I move that we accept the plea bargain as presented to us for the $1,250 fine and the 6-day suspension, encompassing 2 weekends, the first weekend being the 12th through the 14th of September, and honor the request of legal counsel and make the second weekend the September through 19th through the 21st, which is the following weekend.
I second that motion.
Motion has been properly made that we accept the plea agreement as presented with a $1,250 fine and 6 days of suspension of their license to occur on the weekend of, what'd you say? The 12th through the 14th, and the following weekend of September the 19th through the 21st. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
The plea agreement is acceptable to this commission.
Now I've got a question. The plea agreement is acceptable to the commission, but usually, since this is like a regular violation case, usually I would write a written decision for the board. So since this is a little different, I'm recommending that Liz and Kelly prepare something and what choice, at least something, and provide it to me. Something's got to go into the file so people can know what happened. So there's got to be something in writing. And I suggest they prepare it.
It's acceptable
Because
to me.
I'm not exactly sure what everything is
no-
that,
No concern on our part of that. I'm sure that between the two of us,
Well,
we
the
can.
only concern I have is we're not paying three lawyers to do one lawyer's work.
Well, you don't pay me, so isn't that nice?
they had a lot of input in it, so I think they should get the first crack at it. And
I see what you're doing, Tim. You just don't want to write the
I
decision.
think something tells me that Liz already has it basically written over there.
She's correct.
So I'm
So
sure
this will
that
be
we
an
can
order
assist.
from the commission, is that how it's going to be put into the file?
maybe they could prepare something, and then on top of that, we just say the
Submission is granted?
liquor board accepts what, this is this is what was written based on what based on what was said at the hearing.
The
That
way I
goes
have
on
it
top.
essentially written right now is a brief summation of both of the statements that we have made. Your signature is the chair's signature is the acceptance on behalf of the board. Our signature, Tulsi's signature, and then a signature of Tim Dixon agreeing that this is essentially the decision of the board and stands as such.
But it would have to be an order because there's a fine involved. So technically, there has to be an order that the chairman signs.
The chairman will sign this.
It'll
An
probably
order.
be akin to the other written usually anytime there's a written decision, it includes the fine statement in there, I believe.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But we always have an order. Yeah, an order is the finality of the case. So you do a submission, and then our attorney will incorporate it into an order, and Dave signs it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
More discussion on this.
Yeah.
Or if you prefer, one of the attorneys present a draft order, but I think it has to be an order from this commission.
Just a bar.
I just remembered decision.
We can
And
take
the
a
last
look back.
paragraph
We
in
can
the
take a look
decision
back and
says
see.
whatever the penalty is going to be.
Ladies, you understand what we're talking
Yes,
about?
we do.
We do.
Thank you very much. We'll look forward to getting your response.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, thank you all very much, and Mr. Tulsi, good luck to you, and
Thank you,
hope
sir.
we don't
Thank
see you back again for anything like this.
As do we.
Sergeant, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Kelly, can I get this
Trying to
paperwork
look
back
pretty
to
back
you?
there.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And did you want these, did you want to keep one of these?
No, I don't think we ought to be back
I'm going
in
to give them all back to
the
her.
that whole thing.
You wanted to see it? I'm giving it all back. Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's move back. It says the next item of business is a discussion for the date for the 2026 seminar. Keith, what are you talking about?
Looking at a couple of dates, I'll try and do another Wednesday. Can you check the calendars for June 17th? It's the Wednesday after the board meets on the 10th.
June 17th?
If that would work for everyone.
Works for me.
I mean, I can pick another day than Wednesday, but it's just usually Wednesday was.
Okay with you?
That's perfect. Yes, thank you. I'm putting it in my calendar now.
Joe, okay with you?
Oh, it works for me just fine.
Guest speaker.
Oh, that could be interesting. Joe Vance comes back as guest speaker. I like that. I like that, Bill.
I'll write that down on the,
Can we subpoena her to come in and
I just don't know if we want to hear what she wants to say after that.
6/17, okay?
That's fine. Thank you, sir.
Anything else to come before this august body?
can I get an update as to the application updates? Did we do them, or are they?
They should be on the website now.
Okay. Okay, I didn't get a chance to see them, but.
And I sent it to Chris, and he's usually very quick about posting.
Okay.
But it wouldn't hurt to look and make sure I got everything.
Anything else? If not, this meeting is adjourned, recessed, whatever you want to call it, until October the 8th, 2025 at 10 p.m. in a live hearing in this room.